Okay, all right. We're set.
All right, we are live.
Thank you, Brian. We're live.
All right, let's go ahead and call to order the October 19th meeting of the Redevelopment Authority, replacing the October 16th meeting, which did not happen due to a lack of a quorum. That being said, Mr. Rogers, would you like to notice the presence of a quorum?
I can do that, yes. Matt Deck,
Here.
Jimmy Cox,
Here.
Joe Ingles.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, very good. The first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from way back in January 17th, at the beginning of this year. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by the same sign. All right, we have approval of those minutes. Now let's move to the next item on our agenda. That's Resolution 23-01. And if Mr. Crawford is online, if you could give us some background with regards to that resolution.
I am, and certainly. Back in 2019, the council authorized financing for the Grand Junction Plaza project. And in that bond ordinance, they provided for, as is usual custom, bond anticipation notes to be issued to provide short-term financing for the project. And those bands had a 5-year maturity date. Under state law, the longest a ban can be outstanding, including renewals of it, is 5 years. So the ban, which comes due April the 1st of next year, needs to be taken out by the long-term debt in the form of bonds. The way that's going to occur so that it's not constitutional debt is that the authority, you will issue your bonds in amounts sufficient to pay off the bans that the city has outstanding. The city will get the funds to pay those bans off by selling the project to you as the authority. And then you as the authority will lease the project to the Redevelopment Commission. And where's the Redevelopment Commission going to get the money to make the lease payments to you, to make your bond payments? The city is going to pledge a sufficient amount of local income tax funds to the Redevelopment Commission, and they will use those funds for the paying off, making the lease payments. The lit is the legally pledged source of revenue for the bonds that the bondholders will be looking to, but the commission can use any other legally available source of funds to make those lease payments. And it's currently the intention of the commission to make those payments from TIF funds. So, but we can't pledge the TIF funds because that'll start the running of the 25-year maximum term that TIF can be outstanding. The bonds that you're going to be issuing, if you approve this resolution and the project financing, will have a maximum term of 25 years. Will have a maximum interest rate of 6%. They will be issued pursuant to the trust indenture with the Huntington National Bank. That document has been provided to you. The lease has been provided to you. The lease has a lease rental schedule in it. That is in there currently. What will actually happen is when the bonds are sold, then that lease rental schedule will be modified to reflect the bond amortization schedule, and the addendum to the lease updating the lease payment schedule will be executed. The the anticipated underwriter is Robert Baird, uh, and they will be underwriting the bonds. Let's see what else. The city there's currently outstanding 3 issues that have lit pledged to them, and all of those documents require that to issue additional bonds payable with a pledge of lit, which your bonds will be, that there's a debt service coverage test that has to be met of 125% of what the aggregate amortization amount each year, all the bonds are outstanding, is in effect. Jim Treat's firm has run the numbers on that, and your bonds will meet that test. There are 2016 bonds, 2018, and 2022 that fall into that category. And your bonds, after your bonds are issued, there won't be the ability to issue any more bonds unless the pledge by lit, unless that test is met. And I think Jim can chime in here if he wants to, but there's ample coverage for the coverage ratio. I guess at this point, I'll ask if you've got any questions.
Any questions?
I have one, or maybe I have a few actually. So it sounds like this was always the intention of the city back when these were taken out in 2019. Is that correct?
Correct.
And this is basically a mechanism to ensure that the city doesn't accrue more debt than it is legally able to?
Correct.
And I thought I heard you say when we take these out as the RDA, did you say we're at our limit? We're not able to take out any more?
No, if I did that, I misspoke. You're able to take out bonds in the future that they could be backed by a pledge by the Redevelopment Commission of TIF, an actual pledge, but it depends on what the location is of the project. In this case, we don't want the 25-year maximum term of a TIF district to start running. And so even though the intent is to make the bond payments from the lease payments that are backed by TIF, or the only thing that's being pledged to the bondholders is the lit.
Jim Treat, you might give them a little background on the lit test.
Yes, be glad to do that. Just to put this into context, guys, this year the city's getting $24 million in local income tax. So that's the revenue stream we're talking about. And when we did the test, we didn't even include any growth, which we can see from the history, especially recent history in Hamilton County. It's going to continue to grow fairly dramatically. So based on the actual payments from the 3 bonds that are already outstanding, and assuming the lease payment on the bonds we're talking about this evening comes out about $2.1 million, that's about a $6.7 million total debt to be covered with the lit pledge. And so the coverage test is you have to have at least 125 coverage to protect all the bondholders that have lit pledges as their security. So at $24 million, you could actually afford up to $19 million in debt payments and still be within the 125 coverage. So that's how much capacity you have left. We're talking about going up to 6.7, and while all these other bonds are still outstanding as the maximum, probably 6.7 to 6.8. And so that's almost 4 times coverage, 4 times the the amount, the debt service is the revenue stream. So you have a very big cushion as far as the security and the pledge is concerned. And again, as Jim Crawford said, we're not planning on using that lit as the payment source, but it is the best security you've got. And also, I might throw in there that the city is, for the first time in quite some time, going through the ratings process with Standard and Poor's. So rather than doing a private placement, this will be publicly sold by Baird, and by having the lit pledge and going through the ratings process, that will give us the best pricing on the bonds that would be available. The other thing I would mention is that the total requirement to pay off the bonds and the notes and then cover issuance costs is about $35.5 million. As of third quarter of this year, the Redevelopment Commission has about $15.1 million in cash and investments. So the city's plan is to, and the RDC's plan is to use $5.5 million in that cash to buy down the bond amount to more like 29 million, and also thereby reduce the total debt and interest that we pay, quite a bit of an interest saving. So we won't be issuing the 36 million that you see referenced in the documents is the maximum if we bonded everything, which we want to have that in the approvals, but we're hoping to leverage the cash on hand at the RDC and downsize those debt payments and quite a bit. Any questions from? I mean, those are probably the main top items I think of from a financial standpoint.
Thank you, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Did that answer your question, Jimmy? Okay. Any other questions along that area?
I
Again,
don't think
you've
so.
got a couple experts on the line.
Yeah.
They do this all the time. So if you have questions, please.
It's a good
fire
thing.
away.
This is very complicated.
It is. It can be.
Mm-hmm.
I guess
Yeah.
just clarifying again, so the RDA will buy the land that Grand Junction is on and then lease it to the RDC? Is that?
That's correct.
And so as an entity, does the RDA owe any money? It sounded like from the agreements that the RDC and or the city will be the ones that will be making payments. Is that correct?
The RDA, it's because the bonds are your bonds, you have an obligation to make those payments. However, the only thing that is being pledged to the bondholders for you to make those payments are the lease rental payments coming from the Redevelopment Commission. And those are backed by the pledge of the lit by the city to the Redevelopment Commission.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, if there are no additional questions, then would someone like to make a motion for approval of Resolution 23-01?
I move that we approve.
Very good. I have a motion from Joe Ingles. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second from Jimmy Cox. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by the same sign. Okay, we have a motion to approve Resolution 23-01. And with that being the last item on the agenda, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed signify by the same sign. All right, we are adjourned.